All right, we're live.
Just like that.
So just like that. This video is so that we could figure out how to use this streaming app that we plan on using during our motorcycle ride that we're making to Alaska, and then hopefully beyond there. On the podcast today, I got JP, who's one of the riders that's going with us. So, JP, how long have you been riding?
Give or take almost 25 years.
Nice. And
Yeah.
what have you been riding?
I didn't grow up I live in a more suburban, almost rural kind of area now. But I grew up in a little bit more city-like. So I didn't start off on things like dirt bikes and minis and things like that. So I didn't start riding until I was in my 20s, and that was on regular street bikes. So my first bike was a Kawasaki Vulcan.
Nice.
Yeah. I still miss that bike. I wish I never sold it.
I went the route of dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Dirt bikes, off-road, mini bikes, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's the most common thing around this area and yours.
Right. So let's talk about the trip a little bit so we can kind of get people started on it. We got a total of 6 riders going with us.
Yeah.
The reason that we're making the trip, or that we decided to do this, is so that we raise money for the Humanitarian Foundation, which is a charitable organization that's connected to Grottos International. It's part of our Freemasonry stuff that we do, providing for the community. And my goal when I set this trip up was to raise $50,000 for the Humanitarian Foundation through this. The Humanitarian Foundation, their primary goal is to provide free dental care for special needs kids. So any child that's under the age of 18 can get into the program, and then the program is good until they're 21 years old. So once they're in, they can continue to use it until they're 21. I decided to do Alaska because I live in Tampa, Florida, and I wanted to do something epic for our first trip. I hope to be able to continue this every year, obviously doing smaller trips as we go. It'd be nice to do a week-long trip or something next year, a little bit more manageable time-wise, and we'll be able to have more people go with us if we do a smaller trip. So we wanted to do something epic. We went with Anchorage, Alaska. It's an 11,000-mile trip, round trip. You ready for 11,000 miles on your motorcycle? You ready for 11,000 miles on your new motorcycle?
I sure hope so. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a break-in.
Right. So the length of the trip is that it's so long that we actually have scheduled maintenance in Alaska when we arrive. We're all leaving with pretty fresh bikes when we leave here from Tampa, and we'll be about 5,500 miles or so by the time we get to Anchorage, and we're all going to have to do services and stuff in Anchorage before we turn around and come back.
Yeah, so much so I think almost all of us are packing tires just in case. Yeah.
Yeah, even if you don't need the tire, you can always bring it back and use it later. But if you get up to Dease Lake, British Columbia, or Whitehorse, Yukon, or something like that, end up hitting an obstruction or something in the road, popping a tire, try to find exactly the tire that we need is going to be difficult. So
exactly.
Very cool.
Yes, I think preparation is the name of that game.
Yeah, you've been working a lot on getting the safety aspect of this thing together, planning out all of our stops and our schedule. What do you think of the first part of the trip?
Well, I'll tell you what, I really thought the first part of the trip was ambitious until I started looking at the back half. And the back half is longer, almost 900 miles longer. I was kind of surprised by that. I was running the numbers just the other night, and I realized the trip out is a little over 5,000 miles with the route that we've decided on. The trip back is almost 6,000. So we're going to be going through all kinds of climates and all kinds of terrain. So it's going to be interesting. It's
Right.
it's a little daunting, but I'm excited.
Well, and one of the things that we talked about that I really hadn't thought that much about when we first started planning this trip was the preparation that was required. I've never been in a situation where we've packed a stop the bleed kit or had any stop the bleed tourniquet training. That kind of came to light for me. I'm active in the National Coalition of Motorcyclists. I went over there and there was a presentation that was done by Slider, a member of the organization over there. His safety presentation was about stop the bleed, and it really brought a lot of stuff to light for me. You know, as motorcyclists, as we make these trips and stuff, and if we're in an accident, most of the time the stuff that we need is not a Band-Aid. It's going to require something much more significant if something happens to us. You're not ending up with small cuts and bruises. You could end up losing a leg or losing a foot, and you have to stop the bleed in order to maintain life. And I really hadn't thought about that in all the years that I've been riding. So this was a really powerful thing for me. And when I got back, I did a YouTube search and did some online training for stop the bleed, and then ordered a bleed kit that we carry in the bike as we go. And then of course we have the regular first aid kit, but you brought up a lot of good stuff I hadn't thought about. Daily hydration, frequent rest stops and that kind of thing as we make the trip, and still be able to continue to match our schedule. I guess a lot of that came from your regular safety training.
Well, I spent 10 years as an EMT. So I've been in and out of different environments and different scenarios, treating folks, some far worse than others, unfortunately, but you definitely get to see the realities of the fragility of the human body. You see how things like heat exhaustion, heat stroke, just exposure in general can really sap the body and the mind to the point where it starts causing serious safety concerns for not only yourself, but even those around you. So that was the driving factor why I brought those points up, because as you and I both know, we've both done multi-day trips together, and individually. And, you think, wow, that was a great trip. I'm kind of tired. And you look at the scope of what we're doing. We're on the road every day for 2 weeks until we get to Anchorage, and then we're doing it back the other way. So that was the main concern for me, is that we're all getting older and we got to keep to this schedule, and everybody needs to be safe.
Right. And that is something that we were very fortunate in reaching out with a lot of people that are helping out with the trip. All the multiple stops that we have. We have one stop every day. That's our big stop, and the big stop is typically around 6, 7, 8 o'clock, depending on the city and how many miles we have to travel. But each of those stops, we're fortunate in that we're going to have Masonic brothers that are setting up to meet with us and provide refreshment, waters, other refreshment, food, dinner for the night. And we even have some spots that are providing us lodging for rest. So we'll be ready to go first thing in the morning. And then we have some that are going all out. Our stop in Chicago is a big stop. I mean, they've got Aveda of Illinois is involved, and the Widow Sons up there are involved with getting together with us. I think they're going to ride a section of the state with us as we ride. And then we have kind of a similar thing in Baton Rouge when we get down there. Our Grotto member down there has done kind of the same thing. He's put together special shirts for his stop and a special dinner and shrine dune buggy escort from across the bridge into town. And so, I mean, it's really cool that so many people are getting involved and being a part of this thing.
Yeah, tremendous overall. I mean, obviously, we can't expect, you know, huge parties and you know, there's a lot of resources and expense that goes into that, you know, for folks locally. And yeah, I think it's unrealistic to think that everybody can do that. But even for the areas that we're heading that are smaller in population, that are extending the welcome mat for our group coming in, and yeah, it's really humbling to see the response that that folks are giving us.
So I got the ride flyer here pulled up. I'll throw it up on the screen. So that's our flyer. Zenda Grotto is the Masonic organization that I'm a part of down here in Florida that's doing this thing for us. It talks a little bit about the ride, who we are. It is a 501c3 organization here in the state of Florida, and the Humanitarian Foundation is also a 501c3 that all the money is going to. So we've been putting this out for sponsorships. Anybody that contributes at the $500 level of sponsorship or higher has the opportunity to be on our banner. We have a banner that we're going to carry from state to state as we make the ride. We're going to get all those people that meet with us in the different places to be able to share signatures on the banner. So when we get back, we'll have a pretty cool artifact from the trip, something that we'll be able to preserve that has a piece of it, each one of our stops on it when we get back. I also have some photos here, a slideshow
Oh,
of some goofy guys.
just some goofy guys having a good time together.
And then we have one here.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was our trip up to St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. What was that? 20? Is that 18? I think it was
Yeah,
19. I think it was 19.
about 5 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was that, and it was similar to the trip, not as long. We started out. Most guys started out, I guess, West Virginia way. Actually, no.
Mm-hmm.
Where did? No, we had the one guy that came over that was extremely tired when he got on a different trip. No, I think most of the guys came from West Virginia. They met with me at my place, and then we went from there up to you guys.
Yep.
I know we stopped in Massachusetts. Did we?
No, you know what? We you guys came to me. We stayed here, and then we left. We went up to Bangor, Maine. Bangor. I'm not sure how they say it right. We went to Bangor, Maine, and then we had a couple brothers come down from St. John to meet up with us. Did some riding around and made our way up the rest of the trip.
Yeah, pretty neat. We had a lot of good stories came out of the trip. Looking forward to kind of the same out of this. We definitely learned a lot of lessons about crossing the border that we're going to have to be cognizant of this time. So
we are going to another country. I know it's Canada, but it's still another country.
One of the things that I've been thinking about, I need to do a little bit of research. I'm the one of the brand ambassadors for Hiram and Solomon cigars.
Yes.
Fuad Khashoggi with Hiram and Solomon has graciously offered to provide us cigars to be able to raffle off at the different stops and stuff during our trip. But it wasn't until the last couple of days I started thinking about it that could present a problem, because one dude cruising along with 20 boxes of cigars trying to cross into Canada might not look so good. So I have a little bit of research to do to find out what we're actually allowed to take per person and schedule it out that's what we take across. and then may have to have the rest of the orders shipped to Washington. So when we get back to the States, we'll be able to have the rest of what we need.
Yeah, it could pose a problem with crossing over in either direction.
Yep. And then we got that off. This one. Where was that?
That was in Maine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was actually when. Yeah, that was all of us after we had finally made it up that way.
Right.
So we were trying to. It was. I'll tell you what. For June in Maine, it was hot.
Right.
So we were all kind of hunkering in the shade, waiting to check into the hotel.
Yeah. So what do you see? You said I talked to you a little bit earlier today. You were talking about how you already started packing for the trip.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we still got 3 weeks until we leave. You're already packing for the trip?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing is I've never been on a trip this long before. So I'm really trying to figure, okay, how many days of clothes do I pack? Figuring we're going to end up doing laundry and, all the necessary housekeeping along the way. That's probably not a whole lot of fun to talk about, in the show or even posting about, but still a reality of life. But yeah, just trying to sort out my kit, figuring out what works. I want to load the bike up and maybe, I might even just go overnight, just with everything that I plan on packing, just to kind of make sure that if I need to make adjustments, I don't want to be making it somewhere in between, Nashville and Chicago,
right?
Or worse, once we start really getting up into the great wide open, into Saskatchewan and Alberta.
Right.
So.
Yeah, one of the other things that I thought about, I haven't. So I'm also a charter captain, and I do a lot of chartering down here in Florida and the Gulf Coast.
Yep.
And one of the things that we use sometimes is satellite, because you get offshore and you lose cell service. You can get in trouble real fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big problem. So, I think that's something I'm gonna look into, is utilizing a satellite phone, because there's a lot of areas, I think, in Canada. I mean, we're going to be traveling for probably, what do you think, 6 days, maybe 7, 8 days total in Canada, that service is going to be sketchy at best.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a significant part of our trip, and to not have any communication at all is going to be an issue, especially if we have a problem that we need that we need emergency assistance.
Yeah, we've talked about that in the past amongst the group of us, that the chat that we have. But I'm personally going to be packing it's a brand by the name of Zoleo, and it basically works off of anything from Wi-Fi to cellular to satellite as well, and basically will link up with your phone. It has the simplest of buttons. It's probably only about maybe rectangular, maybe about probably that big, maybe about probably the size of a deck of cards. And it'll connect with your phone, and you can actually send standard text messages through it by way of it, and it'll either send it through the satellite network, or if it can make a connection with something like a cellular network of any brand. And this way it's nice to be able to not only keep in contact with family and loved ones and folks that are tracking us, but it also has, most importantly, the SOS feature,
right,
which is going to put it through the network, and that's going to put us in touch with folks that can get to us if we need help.
Cool. And then fuel, the same deal. We're going to be running across areas that it could be, we're limited to the lowest common denominator, the fuel tank. So the one guy that we have that can make it whatever, 140 miles, it's 140 miles. So that's where we all stop. It's not like you can keep going until. So with that being said, you know, we have a support truck traveling along with us. The support truck is going to be able to provide not only a cooler of water and stuff, but also carry 2 or 3 5-gallon gas cans back to the truck just to make sure that we don't end up stranded between 2 stops.
Yeah, I think that's a really important factor, especially the schedule that we have is having that support truck with us. And I know Tony, who's going to be driving the truck, definitely very dedicated to the idea of being in full support of this trip and making sure that, you know, we have what we need. If we don't have it on our bike, he's going to be, you know, nearly right behind us. So hopefully nothing other than ordinary being necessary, but if we have a breakdown or an emergency, at least we'll have some resources.
All the business part of it aside, what's the thing that you're looking forward to the most?
Oh, I would 120% say just meeting all the different folks that we're going to get to meet every day, and just, you know, even 5 minutes of conversation. A lot of them are going to be Masonic brothers, which is of course great. You know, I mean, fellowship amongst us is always a highlight for me. But just really everyday people, getting the word out about not only Grotto and Masonry, but also about what the Humanitarian Foundation is about, the fact that it exists. I'm not a member of Grotto, and until I heard, and you and I have been friends for probably close to 10 years now, I didn't even know that. Really, when you don't think about it, you go, huh, well, that makes sense, because, you know, there's people that are unfortunately not getting what they need, especially these kids. And I'm really excited by the fact of getting that information out to people,
Right.
even if it's not for this event, just to kind of make that information known to more people.
So part of my conversations have been communicating with the West Coast Florida Dental Association, and the American Dental Association, the American Special Needs Dental Association, and all of those people that I've been reaching out to let them know who we are and what we're doing. That was where I started really getting an education on what it means and how much what we're doing means something, because most special needs children don't qualify for dental care through Medicare, Medicaid, and then when you get to the medications and the things that they're taking already adversely affect their dental care. You know, it really, I mean, every kid deserves a good smile. I mean, you know, special needs or not, every kid deserves a good smile. You need to be able to have a kid in a smiling picture. So it's just important to me that we're able to be able to provide that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll chalk this first episode up as kind of an introduction and a test run. I got a little more stuff I want to work the bugs out of, come up with a intro video, and do some other things. I just ran out of time this week, but having the platform, I'm very excited about being able to utilize this to share our ride as we make the ride. I'm going to continue to use it at our stops, as we stop on the live feed every day, you know, as we're en route. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think this will be an excellent platform, and we'll be able to help spread the word.
It's going to be an adventure and exciting time, and I can't wait. 3 weeks is going to be here before we know it.
I know, and I'm going to be the guy that's throwing shit in the motorcycle August 1st to try to get ready.
Well, I'll be sending you pictures of what I'm doing, and if you like things, maybe that'll give you some ideas of what you want to do.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you being on the first show, and
it was a pleasure.
We'll get it done. We'll go from there, and we'll post something in the next upcoming days here to provide more information. So thanks a lot, JP.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate it.
All right.